My parents moved from Buenos Aires, Argentina, where they were born and where I was born, to London, England in 1972. I was 2 years old. My dad is a doctor, psychiatrist, psychoanalyst who wanted to finish his training in the UK, in London specifically, and my mother, a musician, a pianist, who wanted to go there to study with one of the great piano teachers of the day then, Maria Curcio. So they both settled there with a young babyish boy, me, age 2 in London. But we had I had a lovely childhood in South London. We moved to North London when I was 6 years old. So to all intents and purposes, outwardly, I would appear like a very normal British kid. I speak still with an English accent. But of course, at home, we spoke Spanish. And so in that regard, it was very familiar to any immigrant story, right? Where the outside world was one thing and inside your home is another. So there was this really interesting intermeshing of the South American culture, the Jewish culture, the musicians' life and culture on my mother's side, arts and visual arts and literature, and then medicine on my dad's side. And this idea that the life of learning and friends and friendships and music, especially music, was very much, and literature and music, very much part of my family's upbringing. So, there was music, there was piano music all the time in the household. That was the soundtrack to our family home. My mom was in her studio practicing, which was, just on the other side of the kitchen. So, you could hear it in the whole house, and it was amazing. That was where it started. The real sort of defining moment, I want to go into music, happened at the BBC Proms, which is that to this day one of the greatest summer music festivals in the world. I started going to the Proms in 1981, which is probably when I first heard the Philadelphia Orchestra. And I remember listening to a performance. I was probably 16 years old and thinking, I don't care what I do with my life as long as I'm part of sharing this experience with as many people as possible, because I was so transfixed by the beauty and emotion of hearing, a great orchestra and a great conductor play a great piece of music and sharing that experience with others. But actually, when I finished high school, I was going to study science, because I realized that while I had a great passion for science, what really filled my heart and soul, in addition to being an intellectual passion, was music. And so I took that year off and switched, turned down the places at university to study physics or engineering, and applied to study music at the University of London's King's College London, which was right in the center of town. It was a great school full of enthusiastic students and faculty, and lots of different students from other subjects that you'd interact with, a great musical life, lots of things to do, ensembles. And also, you're literally in the heart of London, literally in the center of London. And so I would just go to as many performances as possible. And that for me was as important as the actual study of music at King's College London, which was fabulous. And I stayed there for 5 years. I did an undergraduate and a graduate degree there, and got an internship I guess it was my last year, got an internship at the BBC in religious broadcasting radio, which had no resonance or interest for me, except that they were looking for somebody to advise on music for a radio program. And there was one piece of music I couldn't find, and I did that for a few months. It was amazing. And that's how I got into sort of recording music as well. So.